What's up, everybody? Welcome to the So On Time podcast. I'm your co-host, Deja.
And I'm your other co-host, Dre.
We're growing in our relationship with Christ, and we would love for you to be a part of our village and grow with us.
This walk with Christ is not easy, so we're here to educate and encourage along the way.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we pray that this message is so on time.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 5. No, it's the 6.
It's a 6.
Don't.
What?
Should I start over?
Oh.
Welcome to episode 5.
I'm keeping this.
Ooh,
Welcome to episode 6 of the So On Time podcast. I'm Dre.
I'm Deja, y'all. I'm Deja.
Hope you guys having a good one. Your beautiful co-host is having a little bit of an issue today.
You know what it is?
What is it?
I think that we just had a really good episode 5, and so I'm still stuck on that.
Okay.
On how good the episode was, at least in my opinion. I'm probably biased, but it is what it is.
Sound good. Why are you biased?
Because it's us. It's us, but no, I feel like we're growing in the way that we communicate. And what we didn't say, about episode 5, you guys don't see that we tried to record the episode like twice before the one that we actually put out. And it wasn't as efficient. I'll put it that way. So I'm happy with the way that it turned out. So I'm so
to give a little bit more detail to that. Again, I'll explain. Talking about myself isn't easy. And I was over explaining everything. Like, one point was taking me like 15 minutes. And we had redid it, and then I summarized everything down to 10 minutes. And it's just like, bro, just talk. Like, just talk, but you don't need to give so much detail. And I just hit the nail on the coffin. And I think that's what she's really happy about.
It was no in between. It's like me. Like, we always talk about in my life, my family, and like people who are really close to me always say that I'm black or white. There's no gray. There's no in between. I'm an extremist. So Dre went from telling a 40-minute story with every minute detail down to a 10-minute story with like no detail to a perfect episode 5, and I feel like he killed that episode. That was really good.
Thank you.
2 things. So my first question is, so you talked about 2021 and the season that you were in last year. Are you able to define the season that you're in right now, or where you're at mentally right now? Outside of not wanting to take on like new projects, I guess you could say, where are you at emotionally and spiritually?
I guess the whole thing is just how do you feel?
Yeah, how do you feel about where you're at? Like, basically from what I heard, or the way you described it, is that last year was kind of like a depressing type of year, like it was a low year.
Yep.
But I feel like you're in a better place now, so I just kind of want you to better explain where you are now.
I feel like I'm in a very good place, and that really just said good. The feeling of I feel good where I'm at, and I'm learning to be content in this season.
You're learning to be content.
Yeah.
What do you do to practice contentment?
Pray about the things that I have, and not try to worry about the things that I don't. Moving without God is damaging. So I feel like just because I have the ability to progress, me doing that without God's favor is only going to be a loss in my life. So I'm trying to be content at where I'm at and what I have, and not try to worry about what I can have and where I can be. What about you?
I would say the same thing. I'm practicing being content, and I know we quote, I think it's Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But if I'm not mistaken, I think in that chapter, Paul also highlights all the stuff that he's been through. It's I've been shipwrecked, and I've been flogged, and I've been in prison, and he's like, but I've learned to be content. You know what I'm saying? I've learned to be content in all of these things. So I think I don't know. Maybe we haven't been like imprisoned and flogged, obviously, but we all go through our ups and downs. And so for me, I think
Struggle is real.
the struggle can be very real. I think for me, choosing contentment, like you said, it looks like praying, but it also looks like me reminding myself like everything God has already done for me. Even like the little things, like, oh, he woke me up today, or I was driving today. I was on the freeway and I'm like, wow, I actually have the ability to drive. Like there's people who are paralyzed that they don't know that feeling.
Yeah.
To be able to drive. And it's like, it's so simple and that's something that we take for granted, but just being appreciative of that. And so I've just been kind of like trying to remind myself every single day, like God loves me. He cares about me. Remember the last time you prayed for this and he did this. And also, I've noticed in my life that I'll pray for things or believe God for things, and then he'll do like the exceedingly and like abundantly above whatever I was asking for.
Yeah.
So there are things that I know I want in life that God hasn't brought, but I know when he does bring it, it's going to be greater than what I imagined or like even what I was praying for. He'll have those details that I didn't think in my right mind to even consider. So yeah, it's just been me reminding myself who he is and what he's already done for me.
Alrighty, that's good. That's good.
And I feel like you can be afraid of contentment.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can be afraid that
it's scary to be complacent.
But that's the thing I was gonna say. Like we interchange contentment with complacency, and so something I have to keep reminding myself is I can be content about the season that I'm in, but I can still be hopeful to where God is about to take me.
Mm-hmm.
I should meditate on the things he's already done and just who he is. Instead, because it's something I still struggle with. Like I find myself meditating on where I want to be in life, like where I want to live and the life that I want to have and stuff like that. But instead, I'm trying to meditate on the present and even a little bit of the past, but just thinking like, okay, I'm going to still be intentional about praying about my future. I'm just not meditating on my future and idolizing my future. Mm-hmm. So I think that I have that mindset of like being afraid that if I'm content, then I'll be complacent and then I won't progress and then I won't get or do or be all the things that God has for me because I was so busy just being complacent instead of being content. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's kind of a fear of mine that I'm navigating through.
I feel like contentment, complacency, and procrastination kind of all go on the same line.
Can I tell you something that is like this is like a hard truth or this is like a hard pill for me to swallow in this season. I think part of the reason why I'm able right now to even focus on contentment is because God has showed me some things about me that I don't like, like character flaws.
You want to open up about that or not?
Yeah, I can open up about it. Us doing a podcast, for example, and I know for a fact that God is going to do great things through this podcast, and it's not. This is just the beginning. I know he's going to take it further. I don't know when or where or what those things are, but I just look at my life and I'm impatient and I'm trying to rush through the process and rush through the journey. And it's just like, I don't believe God is going to bless me with things until I can get to the foundation of like, you need to be patient and you really need to learn how to like rest in the storm, or like you really need to learn how to trust me no matter what you're going through or no matter what it looks like. Because if I want to take you somewhere and if I want you to be the light and if I want to use you to communicate to other people, but you haven't actually established this foundation, or if you don't have these morals that you stand on, you're going to be a stumbling block for other people. So I just feel like it's a very humbling season right now. I realize, like, even in relationships, like, I'm believing, to be married one day, but I'm noticing that there are some character flaws that I have that is the opposite of what I believe a good wife is. So I feel like in the beginning, when I first, like, surrendered to God, I went through, like, a pruning season. Sure. And then I thought that pruning season was over. Remember, I think I said on the first episode, like, you don't just get patience and then you get patience, or you have it for the rest of your life. You got to keep getting tried in that. Yep. So I feel like now I've surrendered, but now at this level that I'm at now, I have to surrender again because I realize there are certain areas in my life that I've tried to be in control over. That's another thing. That's another character flaw. Like I can be very controlling. I don't really want to relinquish control 100% to God. And that's probably, I think, revealing more things about myself that maybe I don't trust him as much as I want to, or in certain areas for whatever reason. So I think that's why I'm learning to be content. And I saw this post and it was like, I don't know if it's somebody preaching, but it said, the closer you get to God, the more you realize how sinful you are. So I feel like that's the season that I'm in right now, is just truly seeing there are things about you. You know, at the end of the year, you do your New Year's resolutions and it's like, oh, these people can't go into this year with me.
Right.
Like, you know, I'm not taking this drama.
Right.
And for me, there are some things about my personality that I really don't like that does not line up with God. And I don't want to take that into the new year. Like, I'm not content with my flaws, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I feel like that's why I'm focusing on contentment. It's just a humbling season. And even I've asked God for like fellowship and for people to pour into me. And I'm having that right now in this season. And, you know, I'm in a women's club a women's book club. I mean, say that better. But I'm in a women's book club, and the very first chapter of the book that we're reading is about contentment. So everything right now in my life is just pointing towards you need to learn how to be content, because every season is not your season, and it's up and it's stuck. You be low, you be down, and you frown. Dr. Seuss. Yeah. We're gonna cut that out. But anywho, yeah, it's not always your season, and it's like, you know, it's a process to get to whatever blessing that you have. So I'm just learning.
You be up and then you down and then you frown.
You be up and you down and you frown. It's not always up and it's stuck. And I'm also learning to not be to not try to manipulate God. So not to choose. To not try to manipulate God.
Question mark?
Yeah. So to not I'm gonna fake contentment just so I can get what I want. So if I can just pretend that I'm content for the next few months or so, then God will bless me with the thing that I actually want. So then I don't really deal with the sin of discontentment. I just kind of mask it or sweep it under the rug so I can get what I want. So I'm just learning that I have to really live this out. I have to truly get to a place of contentment in every season. And the only way Paul says I've learned to be content in everything is to go through things. It's easy to be content when everything is working out, but will you still be content, and will you still praise and serve me when things don't go your way? So that's something that I haven't always been diligent in, and I'm trying to get back to.
Okay.
I'm manipulating him with my tears. If I cry and if I pout and if I throw a temper tantrum, then he'll just give me what I want. It's not realistic. So that's what I'm saying. You can't really manipulate God.
No, not at all.
He don't care.
No.
I mean, he cares,
but he's
still gonna make you go through it.
Yeah.
Still make you go through it. He's like a good parent or a good coach.
Yeah, you won't get this.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want to do the suicides, but the coach knows that the suicides building endurance in you, so that he makes you do it and you irritate it.
Yeah, and late games when your body would have got tired, you know how to push through.
Exactly. Yeah. Say what?
You said that discontentment is sin, and I'm saying why?
I would say it's sin because basically, so if you get to the root of why you're discontent. So I feel like you can be discontent for a few different reasons, but I'm gonna just say one reason, and I think this is what a lot of our generation goes through because of social media, is you're comparing yourself. So the discontentment is what you see. That's the outward expression of what you're really feeling, and that feeling is just I'm comparing. I should be here already, or I should have this. I should have what this other person has.
Right.
So then now you start to be discontent with the things that God has already done for you. So now it's kind of like you saying, whatever blessing you gave me, God, it isn't good enough. So that's frustrating. And that's imagine as a parent, you buy your kids some new shoes, but then they go to school. You know what I'm saying? You bought your kids some.
I understand.
Some Vans.
Yeah, I understand the feeling.
Yeah.
That's why to go off topic, but from what you're saying, that's why I don't like gifts given.
Really?
Because of that. Yeah.
You gave a gift and people compared? I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Not for real. But it's like, imagine, yeah, you give your child a new pair of Vans. They go to school, they see somebody in some J's, and now they coming back to you looking like the Vans ain't good enough. You know what I'm saying? So it's I know.
Or you hear them talking behind your back in front of your face.
Yeah. Yeah.
About how your
they're not even appreciative, or like this parent allows their kid to do X, Y, and Z.
My mom and dad must not love me because they didn't give you the
exactly. So I feel like it's a sin just because of the root, like the heart issue.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're comparing, and it's, at the end of the day, it's a seed. I feel like that the enemy plants. Like obviously, he's gonna try to pervert whatever God says is good. So if God tells you to be content, of course, he's gonna then plant seeds of discontentment to try to get you to look at your father like he's against you, like he's not really for you. Right. So yeah, I
appreciate it. And I really feel like that seed of discontentment or comparison really just kind of hides in the shadow. Like it's one of those skeletons in your closet that you really don't know what's there. It's like really, like it's deep in your subconscious that you're actually doing it. And until you actually sit down and talk about it, you really just like, in my opinion, feel like you figured it out, that you are comparing or you are looking towards something else and not really understanding what you have or what you've been brought out of and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I feel like social media can be that, but I just think like everyday life is just like that in general. Like I'm not gonna say just social media in and of itself is where people get the comparison. It's a big comparison box, but you see it every day, just regularly going throughout your 9 to 5 and everything like that. Seeing somebody younger do something or seeing somebody older while you get into that age at a certain place. Or like your boss, you're talking about like, oh, when I was like 30, I started doing this, that, and the third, and it's like, I'm approaching that. I don't see that in my
not even close. Not even close.
So I just feel like social media is a good thing to throw out there, but I guess media in general, or just like, again, it could be media in general, but it could be the people that you're around, like you like surround yourself with, in the office space of just seeing and everything like that. It's just comparisons. You can just go, I feel like in a lot of ways. And a lot of different things. It's not more so like, oh, I want to be here. It's like, oh, I want to look like that. Or I wish I had, I guess that's the same thing as media, but like, let's say in sales, like this man be closing on a lot of stuff. I wish I could do that. Like, I wish I could talk that way, but just I had that confidence. Or you be in the gym, it's like, I wish I could lift that way, or I wish I could look like that. Or like, I wish I could find something I could fit in. Like, it just happens like, little things to be like slight.
And I think too, I want to say two things off of what you're saying. I think it's really difficult for us specific to use the idea or like the example of sales, but I think about us being athletes. Our whole lives we're taught to compete and to compare. You literally look at your stats. You literally look at your stats, right? You look at your stats.
There ain't no way, bro.
Listen, it's so hard.
Wow.
It's really, and you don't even think about it like that.
Nope.
You don't even think about it like that, but you literally look at your stats and you compare. Obviously, you compare yourself like, oh, this last game I put up this amount. But then you look at the star player and now you're trying to compete with them because now you want to take their spot. You know what I'm saying? And then you're just literally taught to compete with so many people and you don't even realize at some point, you're not going to be an athlete anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like for us, our college days ended. But that concept of competing and comparing and looking at other people and looking at numbers and stats and stuff like that, that kind of stays with you.
Yeah, that does stay with you. And it's, like I said, just be deep buried in your subconscious and everything like that. But like the reason why you want piggyback off what you just said. About stats and everything like that to go sports related, you know, I'm serious this way. The funny thing about like me leaving our school and everything like that was because of my stats. That also bothered me, which I felt like, oh, I can't really do this and everything like that. So I feel like an answer that I didn't give yesterday about why going back and talking to my coach was so important was because I turned my back on basketball. And I was kind of just thinking like, oh, this is going to be something that's just going to get me through instead of like actually going after my dream. Okay. And that happened there. But also, like, I looked at my stats and was just like, yeah, I'm not good enough to do this and everything like that. But the funny thing about it is my brother had went to the army, and we only could contact him through Facebook.
Mhm.
When I opened my Facebook, there was so many messages like that I could have just like stumbled upon if I would just believed in myself. And also like
Messages from who?
colleges
Oh.
about like them wanting to take a chance on me, and me thinking that like, oh no, this is done. Like I'm just gonna like find a hole in the wall.
But that's how we do in life, though. We just had a great conversation. We did like a group chat with some of our friends from college, and all of us, we're all experiencing it, like we said, with social media, because you start to compare. So it starts with sports, right? So now you compare your stats, and then now you start thinking, well, my stats aren't good enough, so I can't compete at this Division I level. Not even recognizing the fact that you're at a Division I university, you're there for a reason. But then we do it in real life. So then it's like, oh, I'm 30, for example, and I'm still not married. Maybe I'm never going to get married. Maybe I'm not wifey material, or I'm not husband material because everybody else around me has this.
Yeah,
or you know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm 40 and I still haven't bought a house yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm still in an apartment. So you start comparing, and then you start doubting what God can do, and you stop being hopeful, and you know, you start throwing the pity party. But you mentioned that, and then also it's just funny about the whole discontentment thing, because we get mad and we look at our lives, and it's like we get frustrated with God. And I'm speaking on me right now. Like, this is literally me. I get frustrated with God about timelines that I've set. Like, there are things about me that I know for a fact, in my mind, I thought, like, okay, this is how it should be. But God never came to me and spoke to me in a dream and told me, Deja, this is how your life is going to be. You know what I'm saying? So at 18 or in high school, it's like, oh, well, by the time I turn 25, I'm going to have a house and a car and I'm going to be married and woo, all this other stuff. God never came to me and told me that. I made that up. And then now I'm upset and I'm discontent with the timeline that God never gave me. And again, and even in the midst of me not having the things that I want, I've been blessed with so much. I literally have been blessed with so much, but I still find myself harping on the stuff that I don't have. So.
Because it's just really just a tug of war that you really go through. It's a subconscious tug of war that you go through about like what you think you want and what He's actually trying to give you. It's just a constant battle, and it's like you're battling against the thing that's actually going to give you what you want. It's just the way that you see fit isn't it.
The journey, everybody's journey is different, and that's what we talked about in the group chat, you know? So that's the process. That's what I'm dealing with right now. It's just not the things that I desire in my heart, because a lot of these things I do believe God placed these desires in my heart. It just hasn't come to pass. So it's one of those things where it's like,
I feel like sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But I feel like life is kind of like a video game. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there are things in your life that get placed in your heart, but it takes a little bit more time for it to actually bloom and like fully be maxed out. But there's other things in your life that get placed in your heart that max out quick. Like, no matter what, it's just like you get there quick, fast, in a hurry. And I feel like that could be blinding to you, because it's like, oh, I had this idea that came on me that I didn't think was going to work out, and it worked out immediately. So this got to do the same thing. And it's like, no, that take more attribute points. That take a little bit more grinding for you to actually make that out real quick.
It's so funny that you say that, because I feel like that speaks to God's sovereignty. Like, He does what He wants when He wants. And I always say, like, God is very exceptional. When I look at my life, there are things that I know for a fact I didn't deserve, like good things. Like, for example, me going to a Division I university. I'm like, you know, I started playing club ball later. I committed later to this school. There were girls who had been playing volleyball for years, and they didn't make it to that level. And then here I come, you know what I'm saying? And I don't have the volleyball IQ, but I'm athletic, and God blesses me with this opportunity. And I'm sitting there like, bro, I do not know how I got here. Like, I genuinely don't deserve this. So I have those moments where it's like, God has blessed me in that way, or, you know, even with the job that I have now, all these different things, I'm like, I know for a fact I'm not qualified, and He still gave it to me. So it's like, He's exceptional, and that is on like both ends. Like, the good and the bad. So he's exceptional and he's great when, you know, he blesses me with the stuff that I want, but he's also exceptional. There are things that I feel like, you know what, God, because I love you and I serve you, I shouldn't have to go through this. Like, this shouldn't be my battle or my trial. Like, this should just come easy for me. And it's, nope, he's exceptional still. Like, he's still in that. And as you said before, this walk with Christ is not a cakewalk. He promises you trials and tribulations. Like, you don't, the thing is, you don't get to pick your trials. Right. And if he really gave you a list of like, Deja, okay, I'm gonna give you get the health issue. You know, if he just gave you, I'm not gonna literally break it down, but like, I mean, you could have health issues, financial, mental health issues, yada yada yada. Which one do you want? You'll be sitting there like,
I don't want none of that.
I don't want none of this. You can't pick your poison. So you just have to trust that whatever trial and tribulation that you're going through, that you literally are graced for that. He chose you the same way he chose you, and he'll anoint you and grace you to do like a great work in the kingdom and all these other things. Whatever trial and tribulation that you're going through, he gave it to you because you could handle it. And I know, like, in our flesh, I'm like, God, why you give me this? Like, why do you think I'm strong enough for this? Like, you don't think the last thing that I went through or, you know, had to go through was enough? And here you come with something else, you know? That's how I think in my flesh. I'm not cut for this. I'm not a no limit soldier. I thought I told you. All right, I'm sorry. But
I'm not him.
I'm them, not him. Listen, I'm them, not him. You feel me? I don't want that smoke.
I know you thought I could handle it, but you trying to take me out the game, coach.
He really do be trying. It felt like he's trying to take you out the game, but it's just part of the process. And that's something that I'm learning right now, and that I'm having to, like I said, just keep every day meditating on the good, meditating on scripture. As soon as I open my eyes, it's like, wow, thank you, God. Thank you for this day. Thank you for who I get to bless. You did X, Y, and Z for me, and I'm appreciative, yada, yada, yada. And I just have to keep, reminding myself of that. And I think that even more with the seasons changing, with us going into winter, because this is a time of year where, seasonal depression can come upon you and stuff. I feel like you got to be even more intentional with the seasons changing of what do you meditate on? Start practicing meditating that stuff now, because obviously we're in Michigan, so it's cold and it gets dark early and gloomy.
I love it.
Yeah, you love it, but everybody don't love it. And
my season of depression is the summertime, bro. I love this season.
But yeah, it's just you gotta get your mind right for the season that you're about to go into.
Let's get all cozy. Let's just get our sleeping bags and just lay on the floor.
That is awful. I saw a man today with some shorts on, and I thought about you. I was like, this is the type of stuff Dre would be on. We in a blizzard, and Dre would be outside with some shorts on.
Yeah, no, my job was talking about me. I was like, I'm going to put on some pants and protect myself. It was like, bro, you're going to wear a mask, but you got shorts on. You're just asking, not to be sick to be sick. Mm. I'm going to start wearing masks.
Yeah, you should, Dre. You honestly should. That's the right thing to do.
But anyway, our beautiful co-host has said that this is a season of depression. And I feel like the depression can lead into suicidal thoughts. And one thing that I feel like should always be mentioned, and that obviously go to your therapy and talk to your inner circle, because getting things off your chest is really a beautiful thing. And it's as simple as just talking out loud. That is very therapeutic. Outside of you just talking to somebody, you're talking to yourself. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know where I'm going, or I feel like I'm a failure and everything like that. No, your life is beautifully successful because Jesus gave his life for you to have that. So just something to take on with you.
That's good. I just want, my closing remark is we've both been in a season of confusion, and even in the season that we're in right now, sometimes it seems confusing. So if you're somewhere and you're just like, my life doesn't make sense, the path that I've chosen doesn't make sense, the decisions that I've made, or you feel you just feel discouraged in life, we just want to let you know that we really resonate with that. And I pray that throughout this season, we can kind of touch on that some more and, give more examples of the things that we've experienced that has made us confused or has made us question God. God, if you're good, then why would you allow this? Or, just the things to speak to sometimes what your flesh tells you. You know what I'm saying? The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And so, we've been there, and there are a lot of days where even in the season of us feeling okay and trying to reach contentment or, pursuing that, we still feel very confused. Even in us knowing we should be focusing on a podcast. Sometimes we still have moments but what's my purpose? And what else are we, you know what I'm saying? As if this isn't enough. But yeah, those are my closing remarks. Dre, you good? You got anything?
Yeah. Nope.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you for tuning in to episode 6. Please, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, give us some reviews. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. Please talk back to us. We appreciate communicating with y'all, and we just appreciate y'all rocking with us. And, follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram and TikTok. And until the next time, we love y'all. Bye.
Episode 6, and you can't rate it 6 stars, but what you could do is do 5 and just carry that extra one over for me.
I can.
Appreciate y'all.
I'm done.